All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out today. This is awesome to talk about newsletters, and I'm glad everyone's here. And we have many more people who want to watch this later. I will share this on YouTube. So thank you so much for your interest in newsletters. I don't know if you had a chance to check out my newsletters, but please do look at them as an example of some of the things I'll be talking about. And please subscribe. Building out my newsletters is the only way I can survive. So please, if you're watching this later, please check it out and subscribe. I'll include those in the links. But I just want to talk about newsletters today, and I thrilled that everyone has so much interest in this. I'm going to be talking about newsletters and specifically nature newsletters because I assume that all of us are interested in doing a nature newsletter. So I want to talk about what a newsletter can do for you, and hopefully my goal is to inspire you and empower you to think about creating your own newsletter because there's some real benefits to it. And I want to share what I've learned from this process with you. I'll first talk briefly about my own path, then I'll discuss what a newsletter is and why you might write one. Finally, I'll walk through just a quick example of actually creating a newsletter. I'll just drop a few blocks in place and show you how easy that is. And then we'll open things up for questions and conversation if you have any you want to throw at me. So let me start by introducing myself. I don't know. I think a lot of people here are new, but just briefly, I'm a professional naturalist and writer. I'm based in North Central Washington, just south of the Canadian border. I started as a naturalist when I was 5 years old by memorizing pictures and field guides, and I'll be darned if I haven't gone and done that my entire life. So here's like four walls around me of field guides that I collect and study every single day. It's like crazy. So I'm deeply passionate about the natural world. And my goal is to be outside every day. And I think probably some of you feel that way too. And so the key question for me my whole life is, how do I pay for that lifestyle? I mean, no one's going to pay for me to be outside every day. So I've tried everything from leading walks and tours to writing books and articles. And I've taught workshops and classes. I've led thousands of workshops and programs and tours and hikes. And I've written over 300 articles and worked on dozens of nature books. Tried all of these different things over the years. And for a long time, I was based in the Bay Area and also in the Sierra Nevada. And heck, it was really easy to find opportunities to reach out and connect with people there because there's such a large audience there and people are so passionate about the natural world. And there's so many groups like the Nature Journal Club and environmental organizations where you can give talks and meet other people and share content. But 5 years ago, I think it was now, I moved to this remote rural area and there's no real opportunities here. So honestly, I really flailed for quite a few years. Like, I love reaching out and sharing content and connecting with people. And all of a sudden, I was in a rural place where there were no opportunities to get work as a naturalist or to make a living or to share content. And so I really flailed around and struggled with this. So for a while, I thought maybe I could make money by posting photographs and videos on Instagram and YouTube. I don't know if any of you thought of that, but I tried that for a while on the idea that maybe I'd get a following and I might make some money that way. But that doesn't really work. And so after flailing around for several years, I started thinking about doing an online newsletter. And so 2 years ago, I decided to give it a go. And I want to share with you what that experience has been like. Um, so we're going to talk about online newsletters. What is an online newsletter? So these are newsletters, obviously, that exist online. It means they don't need to be physically printed or mailed out, which saves a lot of complications and a lot of hassles. They can be posted on a website, or they can be sent directly as an email to your subscribers. And you can have the best of both worlds because you can post them on your website where they can be archived and discovered by other people or read at any time. And you can also send them as an email newsletter so they come directly into someone's inbox and it reminds them that you're doing this and they'll click on it and read it that day and they'll keep tabs on you. Otherwise, they have to remember to go to your website and check. And people forget, they get busy, they stop following you, stop paying attention. But if you are dropping something into their inbox on a regular basis that they know the schedule, they get engaged and you begin to build a following. In In the past, these online newsletters have been called blogs, so you probably heard that. But there's a whole ecosystem that's kind of developed around supporting email newsletters, and it's become so highly refined that email newsletters, online newsletters, have become the tool of choice for most content creators, and blogs are kind of passé. So with a newsletter, you are basically assembling a collection of images and stories and then sharing them with your followers on a dependable basis, on a dependable schedule. In my case, I'm out hiking in the natural world every day. I take photographs, and then I come home and then research from my library and the internet stories that I'm discovering, questions that I have, and then I weave those into stories that I share with people, and I do it on a weekly basis. But you can create anything you want. I mean, you can do photographs like I do. You can do drawings. You can do music. You can do sound recordings. You can do maps that you create. You can do journal entries, poetry, creative writing, technical writing. You can do inspirational content. You can do simple nature observation. This one guy does a newsletter, Ted Levin. Uh, it does a fantastic newsletter, just straightforward nature observation. What did I observe today? Hour by hour, sort of. And he wrote a book based on his observations, a best-selling book, I think. You can discuss news stories, anything you can think of, you can do. Today, we're going to talk about doing a nature newsletter. But again, you can create a newsletter about anything you want. Maybe you want to teach people about a craft. Maybe you want to teach people how to cook something. Maybe you want to teach people how to be an artist. It doesn't matter. More than anything, you are sharing your unique voice with the world, and people will find you and follow you because they resonate with your voice and what you're sharing. So it's really that simple. And the magic of all this is that people will help support your work if you offer paid subscriptions or if you ask for donations. You'll notice that I keep referring over and over to the concept of making money, but that's just because being a naturalist is my job and it's how I earn a living. But maybe you just want to share your work because you love sharing your work and you want to find an audience and you don't need to worry about money. That's fantastic. And it's awesome if you want to create a newsletter simply because you just have something you want to share. You don't want to make money. That's another way to do it. That's perfectly fine. So, let's make sure I got everyone in the waiting room. I don't see anyone. Okay, perfect. So let me talk a little bit about the strategy and the strategy that I'm following these days. It's changing over time. And then I want to give a brief demonstration of how easy it is to produce a newsletter, and then we'll open it up for questions. So I started this whole process by spending 2 years. I spent 2 years researching newsletters because I was so scared to get started. It's a ridiculous amount of time to take doing that, but I just kept hesitating. I did not want to take that step until I talked to this fellow, David Williams, who is a naturalist in Seattle who writes a fabulous weekly newsletter called Street Smart Naturalist. And he shared with me his numbers. How many subscribers does he have? How much does he make every month? And it helped me realize that this dream was realistic. And I launched my newsletter the next day. So all it took was like all this worthless time researching and then just like the spark you start, and it's really simple. Um, so I actually produce two newsletters every week, two separate newsletters that are very different. And the reason is that when I started this whole journey, I had two different audiences in mind, and I wasn't sure which audience was going to grow big enough to support the work I wanted to do. Honestly, writing two newsletters is not ideal because it's a lot of work. But together, these two newsletters earn enough money that I'm making ends meet. And at the same time, I'm slowly growing them into something that will become more sustainable over the long term. And at some point, I can drop one of the newsletters and just focus on one if there's enough momentum. So it works for me for that reason. So I want to share with you, and I'll try to do some screen sharing. Hopefully this will work. I'm not as familiar with doing this as some people. Um, want to share with you the two newsletters I do. So let's see, where's my screen share? So one newsletter I do does that work for everyone? Thumbs up. I guess you can see that. Probably should close this up. That helps a little bit, I hope. Um, so one newsletter I do is a large scale, big scale newsletter where I focus on really fascinating nature topics. I do a deep dive every week into a different topic. And when I scroll down, it might be kind of jerky. I apologize. I think it's the only way the mouse is going to work with Zoom. But it just covered different topics. This last week, I did one on um, pikas and how they layer different vegetation into their winter food supply so it preserves their food. I did one here on mountain waves, on uh, lenticular clouds over mountains, bee flies going out and photographing the Milky Way. Just an incredible range of topics, deep dives, and people love these. These are just, it's so amazing. So basically, I'm just out every day hiking, finding incredible stories, coming in, researching them, and then the really juicy stories I turn into one full-length article. So let's see, hidden hitchhikers, for example. I don't know. This is about hummingbirds and the mites that take a ride on their bill and photographs of their habitat. These are photographs I took a little bit, and then I just go into the research that I discovered, what I learned, explore the world of mites. At some point, I add resources where people can click and learn more on their own by going to some of the original literature. So this is just an example of one of the deep dives I do on a weekly basis for people. The other newsletter I do is very different and really fascinating in a way because it's hyper local. The other newsletter is what's happening this week in the natural world in my local area, a small rural valley. And this one is fascinating for two reasons. One is that it's linked to a Facebook group. And the other is that it's a model that naturalists anywhere in the world could recreate in their own community. I think it's an incredible example of what you could do. So first of all, there's a Facebook group, Metal Nature Notes, it's called. This is our local valley, Metal Valley. It's a small rural valley. It's, sparsely populated. There's over 4,100 people that are members of this group now. They're posting observations and questions and photographs every day about what they're seeing in the natural world and talking amongst each other and discussing it and arguing about what they think it is and previous experiences they've had with similar things. Talk about an incredible bulletin board for a community to share and talk about the natural world with 4,100 people out every day exploring different areas and then coming together and sharing what they learn. So this has been an incredible experience. But there's a lot of people that don't like Facebook or that aren't on Facebook. And I realized there was a lot of people that weren't able to participate. And on top of that, Facebook is kind of like pretty random. It's the Wild West. There's no control over what people post and stuff like that. So I started a Midtown Nature Notes newsletter where I collect, curate, and discuss what happened that week in the natural world. Partly based on the Facebook group, partly based on my own hike. So this is Midtown Nature Notes, week by week, what's happening in the natural world in our area. And over time, this becomes a beautiful record. I mean, this is going on for years now, week after week, what's happening as the natural world changes, the changing seasons, what flowers came out, what insects are people seeing, when did birds start breeding, whatever. I don't know, August 20th to 26th here. Let's see, flowers and insects, mix of photographs that I take or photographs that people have shared on Facebook that I use and put in a newsletter. And basically, I just discuss what happened that week in the natural world. So that combination of doing a Facebook group with a weekly newsletter focused on daily nature observations isn't it's incredible and it generates a lot of positive energy in the community. And I would love to see people do this in communities all over the world, anywhere. I mean, this is an amazing example. And they don't have to be photographs. They could be your journal entries, your illustrations you're drawing, what you're coming up with, the little maps that you're drawing. That could be the basis of it, maybe in addition to some photographs. So lots of options there. Let's see. So both of these models ultimately are successful, and I'm just putting them out there as examples to inspire you. But realize there's going to be a jillion ways that a naturalist, artist, or writer could create their own newsletters. Um, and all you need to do is think about who your audience is and how you're going to reach them, and then pick what you want to focus on. So I mentioned that I spent 2 years researching how to create newsletters, and I compared all the different newsletter platforms. So there's going to be lots of choices, and I want to just talk a little bit about the a platform that you're going to put newsletters on. You can't I mean, what do? You just don't write an email and send people an email. You want a platform that's managing all the content. There's there's subscriptions, there's money coming in, there's conversations, there's promotion, and you have to manage all of that. So you want to use a platform that's going to help you with that. There's lots of choices and pros and cons for all of them. I recommend that you spend at least a couple days watching YouTube videos and comparing them for yourself. But then you just got to pick one. Don't be like me. Just pick one and take the plunge. So ultimately, I went with a platform called Ghost. And I chose Ghost because it's a platform that's focused entirely on creating newsletters. No other fluff. It's just super focused on streamlining the entire process for you. There's other platforms, I think like Wix, I think is one uh, where you have a lot more control over the look of your newsletter, but you need to assemble those pieces yourself. And there's going to be other significant issues that you have to deal with. Ghost, on the other hand, is super streamlined. It has limited design choices, which is my one quibble with it, but it seamlessly blends together all the pieces you need for a successful newsletter. And it frees you up to focus entirely on creating newsletters without worrying about fiddling with the back end issues and logistics and stuff. That's all taken care of for you. So with Ghost, you basically just pick one of their templates and you start dropping content in place. I'll show you that in a moment. And yes, there's also a bit of front end work you have to set up. You have to fine tune the look of basically, you're creating a brand and a look for your website. You got to make those decisions. You have to think about and create your subscription options. You have to connect your site to a payment system, etc. But all those pieces are a lot easier than you think. And Ghost also has excellent how-to tutorials and customer support. This is not an advertisement for Ghost. It's just the one I picked. Again, there's many other choices that people are equally happy or more happy with. So you're going to need to ask yourself some really important questions before you get started. You need to think carefully about how often you want to produce a newsletter. You can produce newsletters whenever you want. You can just randomly throw them out there whenever you're done with one. But if you're going to set a consistent schedule, that's going to be critical for building a growing following. So you want to really think carefully about that. Every day, once a day might be too much. Depends on what your content is. Plenty of newsletters are every day. You can do it once a month. Plenty of them do it once a month, but that might not be often enough. So I picked once a week, and even that feels overwhelming to some of my subscribers. So I think maybe once a week is a good happy medium that where you actually can still have a life and have time to create newsletters. You also need to think about the subscription levels, entry level, medium level, high level, what people can give you to help support you, what perks you might offer if someone subscribes at a higher level, what makes it special for them. But I wouldn't worry too much about these kinds of decisions because this is your project and you get to change any of these features anytime you want. So just make some decisions and get the ball rolling. So I'm going to just do a little demonstration here on how I create a newsletter, just to show you how simple it is. Go back to my screen share. And I will do it for my Lucas Guides, which is the the deep dive one. So first of all, on the website, the Ghost website, you have all these matrix and analytics so you can keep track of and follow every nuance of your newsletter. I don't pay too much attention to that because I'm focused on writing a newsletter. So basically, I, this is all it is. Here's the list of posts that I've created. I would go up here to the upper right, new post. Pretty simple. Post title. I'll just make it up because I pulled out some pictures. Fantastic pikas. Woohoo, that's great. Over here, you can give an excerpt that people are going to see in their email. You can create metadata if you want. Uh, some more complicated stuff here if you want to do that. Not essential. Add your feature image. So then what you do is I just clicked add image, takes me to a folder. I'd already navigated to this folder. I put all the images and files that I want to use in this newsletter into one folder. And then I just scroll through. Let's just pick one. I'm going to do on pikas. There's a pika picture. These are big files. I'm taking these with a big camera. Um, and then you just start writing about it here. Waiting for this to load up. But I'll just say this is an article about fantastic pikas. Bingo. There's my picture. You add a caption to it. Here's a pica. Wow, that's super cool. You can give it alternate text, which is also really important for Google searches. Article about pikas. You can take this and highlight it. You can add a hyperlink to it if you want to connect it to something else, an article. You can change the way it look. You can make it a different highlight. You can italicize it. You can bold it. You know, limited, but you have some options there. And then you see scroll down. So what I do is I start telling a story. I'll tell a a small paragraph, then a picture, a small paragraph, then a picture, a small paragraph, then a picture. It could be you're weaving together a story with excerpts from your nature journaling. You want to just like, here's an observation. You could take a screenshot or scan it and just use part of it. I will. Here's an example here. I will create uh, graphics in Canva. So here's just a graphic. You can mix it up with some graphical content. This could be you could scan and upload your journal page and then remove things and shape it and add some other things to it if you want to weave it into a story. Um, I also create simple images like this in Canva. Just I do this all the time just to mix it up because it's just photographs otherwise. Here, I just took a photograph of a page representing as if you like took a screenshot or scanned your one of your journal pages. This could go in there too. And then it's all woven together with text. This is woven together with text of any style, length, whatever you want. Super simple. You can add sound files. There's video files, sound files. You can add YouTube videos, which I do all the time. You can do a call out, which is you can use those for like it's a sidebar in an article. I typically use them for like please donate, and then I'll add a link to my donate page here. I can also add a I hope this is okay for people. I'm just kind of going through some of the options here. Add a button. Button text can say please donate, or please help this group out, whatever you want to say if you want to promote someone else. And then you add the link here to the website you want. You can do, where is it, a gallery right here, where you add multiple images and kind of tell more of a story with a series of images. By the way, these are pictures of pikas I just took. If you check out my article I just wrote this week, these are great pika pictures, and it's a really great story. Um, and then I can add another one and then create a different look. So basically, that's all. And then when you're done, you can preview it and just check out how it's going to look on a computer screen, on a phone, on the web. You send it as an email to yourself so you see, for example, what your email subscriber is going to see. And when you're done, you just hit publish and it goes right here. You can review it and then publish it to your website. So when you do this, you publish an email right here, publish and email. So it's going to your website as a permanent archive that anyone can discover, find your work, look back on the previous work you've done, and it goes out as an email. So your subscribers are getting the same exact pages, but as an email. You can publish it only if you only want it to go to the website, or you can send it only as an email if you only want email subscribers to get it. So you're in control of that. So that's just an example of how I would create a newsletter. My point with doing all that is just that it's incredibly simple. You get the platform set up, you do some of the front end work of making some of those decisions, and then you just do new posts every week, every day, every month, however often you do new post, and you build it from the pieces. Super simple, drag and drop, and you can do all these different files. You get to weave them together and tell a story however you want. Um, so that's what we'll keep it short here. I just want to introduce you to some of these ideas. Again, I'm totally available for people and I'm open to conversation. So I'm happy to answer questions. I just want to just conclude by saying it's incredible that you're able to create a platform where you are in complete control. After years of working as a writer and as a naturalist for other people, where they're always dictating deadlines, always approving or disapproving of your work, always telling you to go edit it again. You know, they don't like it, they're not going to use it, whatever. It is incredible for me to be in control of my work and make the decision. This is my creative project that I am putting out into the world and sharing with people. And that's amazing. And with the newsletter, you get to share whatever you want with the people that you want to reach and on your own timeline. It's entirely your project. And if you're willing to put the work into it, the sky is the limit in terms of how big it can grow and how many people you end up reaching. That's up to you. You know, it's like if you're selling something and making a product, however many people you sell it to is going to be based on how much work you do and how you think about it. So the same thing with the newsletter. I do want to leave you with one caveat, however. Creating a newsletter can end up being a full-time job. Okay. Not only does it take a lot of time to produce each of the newsletters, but newsletters generate quite a bit of feedback and correspondence because people start connecting with you. They get excited by what you're doing and they want to share ideas and talk. And I take that seriously. You can ignore those emails and those correspondences, but I love that. I mean, that's part of what I want to do is create community and talk to people and share ideas and observations. So I love that. That is one of the best things and the biggest surprises of starting a newsletter is how much time it takes and how much conversation I have. But that means I'm building a network across the whole United States and wider of people I'm talking to and sharing things with. That's amazing. Um, and also if you're serious about your newsletter, you need to put a ton of time into reaching out, forging new connections, finding new groups, and finding new subscribers, right? The sky's the limit, but you have to put the work into that. People aren't going to just I mean, people will find you every day, and the more outreach you do, the more people just find you. But you need to open those doors, open those windows, and make those pieces of outreach happen. So, for example, with my Lucas Guides newsletter, I have a two-pronged approach. In addition to writing the Lucas Guides newsletter, and this is the big scale, in-depth articles, I also offer Zoom talks to groups all over the country. And these two prongs, writing the newsletter and offering Zoom talks, work perfectly together because by reaching out and offering a Zoom talk to an Audubon chapter in Maryland or a nature club in Florida or a college campus in Ohio, you know, by reaching out like that, that's how I get new subscribers and new people find my work. And at the same time, the newsletters lead to even more opportunities to give talks. So reaching out and giving as many talks as I can and writing the newsletters work together beautifully. I mean, it's a great way of connecting and sharing whatever you want to share with people. And then for my local newsletter, I also do that in a different way. I lead local nature walks. I offer talks at our local library. I will set up a booth for my Town Nature Notes newsletter at festivals and community events. And I chat with people that I meet on the trail and I'm constantly connecting with people in the local community. But in other words, newsletters don't exist in isolation. They are part of a larger conversation that's going to keep growing and creating energy for you. And that is fun. So I think that's the best part of doing a newsletter. So, yeah, I mean, creating a newsletter can become a full-time job, but who's going to complain about that? I mean, in essence, I've created my dream job as a full-time naturalist and writer. And for one thing, I'm in complete control for the first time. And the other is that it pays me better than I was ever paid when I had regular job leading walks and writing. So heck, does that sound like something you'd want to try doing? So that is it. I will, let's see, what do I need to do? I'm going to keep sharing, but I'm not doing screen sharing right now. Okay, so yeah, if you have questions or anything or conversation, um, happy to chat with you. If you have any specific ideas, yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, so going back to having both of these different newsletters, do you have both of them linked on your website?
No, there's two websites.
Two websites.
So the
Okay.
way Ghost works is when you create the newsletter, the name of your newsletter becomes your website. So these are
Okay.
two separate websites. And if you look at, you can go to both of these. I think I provided the link in the description for the event, but you can find them easily. Just go to them and you can see what the website looks like. It's basically an archive of every newsletter you've done, and they're separate. I try to link them once in a while because I'm trying to get subscribers to move back and forth. So once in a while, like if I'm like I just did the article on pikas in the in-depth one. So for the local group, the local community one, I will do a profile on pikas and say a couple paragraphs about pikas and say, if you want to learn more, check out this article. And by linking them, it helps you with your search results too.
Hmm.
And that's
Okay.
also
Thank you.
true for when you do write a newsletter. If you've done previous newsletters that are even remotely related, you should link them. The more times you cross link, the higher you start ranking and the more you show up in Google searches. So to me, that matters for the Lucas Guides, which is the big scale one where anyone in the world can find it. Being found in Google matters. But for the local community one, I don't worry about that at all. That's just for the local neighbors and friends in the community. Um, I'm not trying to do giant outreach with that. I just want local people to be part of that conversation. Thank you, Sarah. Great question. Yeah, Trudy, you had your hand up.
There we go. Yeah, I was curious. I know Wix is a paid subscription to
Yeah,
use that program. Is Ghost similar? And
great question. Yes.
what kind of things are involved in the costing on
So,
Ghost?
yes, fantastic question. So, thank you for mentioning that. I don't want to get into those details unless people really wanted to know that. And also, I started writing this up in my notes for this talk to say, but it's been 2 years since I've researched each of the platforms, so I can't speak authoritatively about how they work with money now. So cost is one thing. You have to balance out each of the newsletters is going to charge something different. Ghost is one of the best because they don't take money. Other ones take a percentage of your profits. So if people start doing donations or paid subscriptions, they take a percentage of that. Ghost does not do that at all. You pay them a user fee every month. Every month you pay them a user fee, which is based on how big your audience is, and it's totally reasonable. It's just a fraction of what you're making, so it's a great deal. And that's it. No other fees, no surcharges, nothing. It's just a set known amount based, which makes sense because you're using their traffic, their platform, based on how many subscribers you have and how many people are getting your newsletter. The other ones are taking a cut. That's one issue. The other issue is who owns the content. And that's sort of a hidden surprise one. Like if you decide you don't like to do the newsletter anymore and you want to pull the content and have it for yourself, for some of these platforms, you don't own the content or you can't just download it and have it. That's a big deal. And one of the main reasons that content creators use Ghost is because that is your content. You can quit anytime, just hit a button and I I mean, it's my understanding. You just download everything you've ever posted and you own it. It's yours. They're not trying to steal it from you and play games. That's kind of a big deal. So I like that a lot. Um, so there is a fee. these things aren't free because you're actually you're generating a lot of traffic and you're using their platforms. But the fee is reasonable across the board, but there's, you know, some are more expensive and I didn't want to pay it. Whereas Ghost, no brainer.
Mhm.
That answer your question?
Can you just give me kind of a rough idea? So, for example, if you had 1,500 people following you, what sort of thing would they charge for that in terms of
No,
that fee?
yeah, let's see.
Okay.
I guess I could check. I have no idea. Um, no, I have no idea. But
Okay, that's
but
fair
if you
enough.
go
Yeah.
to the Ghost website, for instance,
Okay.
they have they have a little tool which is like a measuring stick, and you can take the toggle and move it across the different audience
Okay.
size, and the price will change as you go and give you a really good number.
Great. Thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah. What I will say is when I first started the newsletter, the price was so minimal, I didn't even think twice about it. Uh, and then as my audience got much bigger, then I was like, oh, this is actually this it's a significant amount of money, but as a percentage of how much you're making, it's minor.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I should have thought about that. Yes. So I'm gonna say this right. Not Dana. Dana? Is that right? You said, but
Dana. Yeah.
okay, good. Whew. Substack is very popular. Um, and that is one of the problematic ones is that I see you're mentioning it's free, but you don't get your own website and they own the content. They own the
Yeah,
content.
you can download your list though, which is good because some of them actually own everything,
Yep.
whereas that one you can actually download your list if you want to
Right.
switch platforms.
Yeah. Yes. Um, I will say that it also helps if you follow other people's newsletters and just kind of like know kind of what people are doing. And just if you're going to be a newsletter creator, you might as well understand how other people are creating newsletters and how they look in other platforms. I will say that the people that do Substack, I don't like the looks of their newsletters. And I don't like getting those emails from Substack newsletter people. Maybe you've had different experiences, but I'm just not keen on Substack at all. Never, that's never appealed to me. Um, and Kathleen posted a link for the pricing. So maybe someone can put in there what kind of an example of the pricing, because I'm curious now. Yes, Patreon. Lynn mentions Patreon. Patreon is a great option too. And I don't know much about the pros and cons of Patreon, but I think Patreon is a great resource for making money creating things, but I don't know that they really have an easy format for um, newsletters. I mean, Ghost is just like drag and drop, and like I link it to I use Stripe as a payment system. It comes straight into my bank account day after day after day. Every week I know how much money I'm making. Every month I know how much money I'm making. It's completely dependable. And I contrast that with writing articles for magazines and stuff where you're like begging them to pay you and you wait 6 months and they still haven't paid you. And it's just like you never know when money's coming in, or you lead a nature walk. And I mean, I've led tons of nature walks. I might get $20 or $40 as a donation or something, you know. So having a set amount of money coming in every month allows me to relax and focus on creating high quality content. I can go out hiking every day. I can research questions, I can look in books and look things up, come up with great stories because I know every week, every month, there's going to be this much money coming into my bank account because subscribers are dependable, they love your content, and they're helping support you in this work. They don't get much out of it other than reading your newsletters, but they believe in what you're doing, which is a beautiful relationship. And I'm so thankful for people that help out and help support that because it allows me to create incredible content. That's the beauty of doing a newsletter. Um, Probably more than you wanted to know, but so I'll answer these other questions too. What is Stripe? Stripe. You just have to look up Stripe. Stripe is just a payment system. It's like an online, I don't know, credit card system. And so when you get an online payment, they process your payment. It's kind of like PayPal and Venmo, and then it gets automatically put in your bank account or wherever you want it to go. I'm sorry, I'm skipping around these questions, but I love these questions. Sarah mentioned Square or Squarespace? Squarespace there? Squarespace, yes. I had a website on Squarespace for a very long time. I did a book on how to create new words for the natural world, and I had a website dedicated to that book for, God, over 10 years. And I got so it was 300 and something dollars a month, and all they did was just process my orders. It was too much money. So I folded it into my Ghost website now, and I'm not paying any extra for doing that, which is great. Let me share this. Uh, let's see. Kind of getting off target here, but I hope that's okay. Uh, on my, let's see, this one. Okay, so I think you can see that. So this is my big scale Lucas Guides website. Across the top are tabs. So you can create all of these. These are separate pages. So the home page is just a continuous stream of all of the articles you've ever written. Um, but then you can have tabs up here. So my About tab, for instance, I posted the video I just did on an interview that someone did with me. Here's a link to my book. I have a tab for uh, videos where I've done teaching with people or talks I've given. I have a tab for audio recordings of talks I've given. Um, and then I have a link for my book, all the information about my book and how to buy it and read examples from some sections of the book. So more than just a newsletter, your website becomes something that you can build out with many more pages and offer different kinds of content. Does that make sense? Um, so anyway, yes, Squarespace was great for a long time, but I think you can probably create a newsletter with it too. But I just got really, really tired about them. Sorry, hope to answer your question. So Sarah also asked, is my website actually Ghost? Yes. So when they first give you the domain, it's ghost dot your domain name dot something else, whatever. You can change that. So that's just your website, your newsletter name. Uh, or I think you have to buy the domain. Whatever domain you own for your work, your website, your sarahreed.com maybe. You can link it to that. So that's what people see, that's what people search on. It's not Ghost. Ghost is just a placeholder. You can keep it, but people don't want to see ghost.sarahreed.com. They want to see your work, your name. So you can link it. It's easy to do. Once you own a domain that you want to own and use, then you can link it. And that becomes your website. Let's see. Make sure I haven't skipped any questions here. You can also raise your hand. I don't have to, I'm scrolling through the comments here. I love that Sharon posted how much it costs for Ghost. So um, there's a pro plan. I think there's other tiers. Like again, I just use what I use. I haven't looked into this for a while, but $15 a month for up to 1,000 subscribers. It might take you years to get to 1,000 subscribers. So $15 a month is not that much money, right? And again, once you start asking for donations, once people are aware of what you're doing, depending on your following, I mean, each one of us, whoever wants to start a newsletter, you have your own community of followers, your own friends, your own networks. Depending on who those people are and how much they support you and how much they know you, you can ask for donations and ask for support. And that can be subscriptions, paid subscriptions, it can be whatever you want. And then depending on what kind of group you have, what kind of network you have, will will be reflected in the kind of money you make. There's no right answer to that. And every newsletter creator has a completely different model and completely different result. I just know that when I talked to David Williams, who does the Street Art Naturalist, and he told me his numbers, and I realized that is enough for me to make ends meet every month. I can do that and build on that. That was all I needed to get started, and it has come true. I mean, I'm not making money, but I'm making ends meet, which as a naturalist and a writer is gold as far as I'm concerned. And it can only build from this point on because I'm just creating more and more and more connections every week and more conversations, more networking and more organizations. It's fantastic. And to be building something that grows, I think is really beautiful. I love that, especially when you're doing something creative that you're passionate about, which I think we all are. Yeah, Sarah.
So can you describe for us, like, how do how do I word this question? So you have subscription newsletters, but essentially go onto your website and anybody can access them, right?
Hmm.
But how do you separate that out that people are paying for those subscriptions? So because are they getting them earlier than when you post them on your website, or
Okay,
they're
so
getting them by email?
yeah, good question.
And that
Hopefully
sort
everyone's
of
okay with
thing.
all these questions and stuff. I mean, this is a great conversation. So that is a great question and one that I struggle with constantly, and I know all newsletters producers struggle with this question. And there's just so many ways you can do that. You can just give people a sneak preview for free. And then if you really want to be a subscriber, you can give them the full content, right? And only, or hidden content that only subscribers see, or advanced content. So there's different ways to finesse that. What I do is I just give everything away for free. All the content's available to everyone. And people do paid subscriptions just out of the goodness of their heart because they believe in you and they want to support you and you're giving them something of value. And that I just take that so seriously. I wish I could do more. And I'm always looking for more things of value that I can add. But also just it's okay to relax and just know that people are supporting you because they believe in you and love what you're doing. They love your voice. They love how you're making a difference in the world. And they want to see more of that stuff happening in the world. And they will donate some amount of money or subscribe at a certain level. And that's what keeps me going.
And that reminds me so much of John Muir Laws.
Exactly.
And I he's talked about this a little bit on a couple of his workshops too,
Yeah.
that basically don't be shy to ask for donations, and you'll be surprised at what some people are willing to donate and
Yeah.
support you.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of my I'm timid about asking, and yet he made me feel like it's okay to ask
Yeah. Yeah.
because people
Good.
want to support you if they believe in what you're doing.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
a valuable lesson. I feel bad every single issue I ask and remind people they can donate. Please subscribe. Please do a paid subscription. And you start to feel like a broken record. But think about it. Every single magazine, every single newspaper, every single online news source you look at is doing the same thing. You have to. That's how you survive at this time. And you can't, I mean, you can't really force payments. Um,
Right.
I
And
mean,
one of the things that Jack also reminds us is that all of our time is valuable.
yeah,
So it's okay to ask to have people value you by donating and supporting what you're doing.
yeah,
And in supporting you, then it supports you continuing to do these things. And yeah. And like I've been so timid about doing all this and launching into it, but I keep telling myself that even if I'm even if I make enough to make my gas money from
mhm.
the daily trips I make out to parks, that's significant.
And that'll happen quickly.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
it's
don't be afraid to ask. And um, so we had the question, how do I make my living with the newsletter format? I think we're kind of getting into this too. Um, it, I, the way I make a living is mostly through paid subscriptions. Donations come and go here and there, and it just adds up. That's pretty much it. Is just paid subscriptions and an occasional donation. Um, I also, as I explained, I supplement that by giving talks. So I give as many talks as I can, and not always, but hopefully you get a small speaker fee. And you could add, I mean, I've added 50 new subscribers from one talk sometimes. I mean, it's incredible. So that's how you build out like that. You have to reach out into the world. So a few talks here and there, paid subscriptions. Um, Not a referral to give talks. That was another question. I don't know anything about that. And you can do ads. Plenty of newsletters do ads. And if you do sign up for Ghost, they have all kinds of tutorials and resources. Like, here are the different ways you can make money. This is the pros and cons of having ads. This is how you would do ads. This is how people do ads when they do ads. This is how you ask for ads. All of these resources are there for you to explore, um, on Ghost for sure, and also probably with the other newsletters. So I'm just giving you one example, two examples actually, of how I do it, but there's endless possibilities for how you can do it. And yes, you can charge for ads. You can give people just little snippets and make them pay for the full content. You can, what I'm experimenting with now, like I just did the interview that was on YouTube with me. I personally emailed that to paid subscribers 2 weeks ahead before it was available on publicly. It was a private link for paid subscribers 2 weeks early. They got to go see it. Um, so I want to do more of that. I want to create more videos. So for instance, like this recording here, for instance, I could offer this to paid subscribers and then weeks later or a month later, open it up to the public, make it publicly available. Like, for example, I could do that, for instance. I'm not going to, but so those are some of the ways you could play with it. Let's see. Yes, so Sharon's mentioning someone who does a Parnas report on Substack. He mentions in every newsletter, asks for subscriptions or donations, makes it clear how subscriptions help him do his work. That is exactly what I do. If you go through my archives, every single newsletter, I do exactly that. I very simply, in some clever way, hopefully, ask for paid subscriptions or donations and mention that it's really important how I support my work. I say something like, heck, for the price of one coffee a month, you can make a huge difference in the work I do. Just whatever clever way you can come up with to offer something or ask for something. It's, you know, like Sarah was saying, it's a community. We're all trying to help each other out in whatever way we can. And I subscribe to people's newsletters too, and I help them out and pay them. And, newsletter creators, like people in the Nature Journal Club, are communities that are supporting each other and learning together. So if you start a newsletter, you're entering into another part of a community. So how's that? Let's see. We have a friend used to email her paid subscribers to schedule for sales for the following month so they could plan their purchases. Nice. Yes, yes, yes. God, I love it. Um, Again, there's so many ways, and I am just every week desperately thinking of how can I feel bad that people do paid subscriptions or give me donations. I want to give them something of value. I can't, I mean, I offer, at a certain level, I offer people a signed copy of my book for free that I'll mail them. That's one thing I can do, but I can only do that for so long. Um, and I don't know, I mean, what do you do online? I don't ask for people's mailing addresses, so I can't just spontaneously mail them a beautiful photograph I took or a postcard and say, thank you so much. I love your support, because I don't have their mailing addresses and I'm not going to ask for that. Um, so it's just digital stuff. What can I send that's digital that people value? It's a great question. I'm constantly grappling with that, constantly looking for ideas. And I think if you start a newsletter, you will be asking yourself many of the same questions. Did I cover everything? I didn't expect to talk for an hour. I just really love the conversation, content, and conversation and suggestions and questions and stuff. Maybe I'll go ahead and turn off the recording and then see if people want to say anything else as we go. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, please check out my newsletters. The point of all this is so that people find my newsletter also, and be part of the conversation with me. I love to share, talk, converse, share what we're learning about the natural world, and feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording, but stay on board.